In this video, we're going to learn how to detect the distance between our player and another object, and then we will do things based on how far away we are. So what we did in the previous video was we detected collision, so we're going to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to create another script that will detect the distance. Check. So make a script. In case you're watching this out of order, we have our first person player object, and we have a cube that is tagged as box, and that's it, really. So what we want to do is open up our distance check script. So in order to detect the distance between two objects, there's a couple things we need to know. One, we need to know what the other object is. So we know who we are because this script is on us, so we know ourselves, but we need to know about the other game object. So I'm going to make a public game object variable that is the cube. And so right now I've just created this variable. I haven't set it equal to anything. Because I made it public, if I save this and go back into my script on my player, I now have this variable in my inspector that I can fill in with the cube. So this is what happens when you make a public variable. I want to set the cube variable equal to this cube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this cube, drag and drop it onto this spot right here. And so basically what I did there is I've defined cube as this cube. So I'm setting, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about cube, this guy. So now we know what the cube is. We also need a float variable to keep track of the distance. And so what I can do here is I can say distance is equal to vector3.distance. This is a function that Unity has to detect the distance between two objects. Notice how we have vector3a and vector3b. Vector 3s are positions in space. So we know our position as transform.position. And we know the cube's position as cube.transform.position. So what is transform.position? Well, one thing that every game object has in common is this transform node, and then we have the position. So the vector 3 is the x, y, z values of whatever the current position is. So us right now, our vector 3.position is -0.53, 1.03, 0. So that's our current vector 3, and then the cube's vector 3 is this up here. So because every game object has this transform node, you don't need to say like get component. You can just say transform and it knows what you're talking about. So what we can do is say if distance is less than 5 or so, then we can do some stuff. So we're saying let's just print something out. Debug.log. I'm close to the box. So this is going to give us some number that is how far away we are, and then we say if we're close enough, just print something out. Okay, so hit save, back to Unity and test this out. Open up our console. So get close, 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 close. I'm close to the box. Okay, great. All right. So what we can do is let's move the box. So let's say if we get close, we want it to maybe like touch the ground. And then once we go back away, we want it to go back up. So what we can do is we can make a vector 3 cube position. We'll set cube position equal to the cube dot transform dot position. So wherever it is right now, this is where our position is. And then we're going to say what we want to do is cube dot transform dot position is equal to a new vector3 value, and we're going to take the current x position, so cube position dot x, we'll just leave that at what it is. We're going to take the cube position dot y, and we're just going to minus like 2 from it, or 1 maybe, and then we'll take the regular z value, so cube position dot z, and leave it as is. So we're saying, hey, take all the current values, leave the x and the z the same, and take that y position and move it down 1. And then we'll say, if we're not far away, we'll set cube transform dot position is equal to cube position. So it'll go back to where it normally is. I'll save here, go back to Unity. So if I get close, boop, I'm going to go back up. So we can change its position based on what we're doing. What if I wanted to also play a sound? Well, let's put a sound on our cube. Let's put a audio source. So audio sources are basically little speakers in our scene. I have imported in a sound clip that I got from online. My favorite sound website is freesound.org. This is the best. You have to make an account. It's totally worth it. Okay, so I have this sound clip that I got from there. I'm going to assign my audio clip. And then the one thing I want to change is that it does not play on awake. Okay. In order to play the sound, I want to make first a Boolean to say, is sound played? So we want to check if the sound has been played or not. We're going to set this equal to false, because it has not. And then basically, because we only want to play the sound once every time we get close. So when we get close, we'll play it, and then when we back away, we'll, if we get close again, we can play it again. So if the distance is less than 5, and if is sound played is equal to false, then we will look at that cube. We're going to say cube dot get component audio source dot play. Play is a function, so we're going to add the little parentheses. Once we play it, we're going to set is sound played to true. So what it does is this, if it's false, so if we have not played the sound yet, it will play the sound and then set it equal to true, and that way the sound will only play one time. And then when we back away, we can set is sound played back to false. So a little bit of logic here. If we don't have this Boolean thing, every frame when we're close, it'll try to play the audio source. So it'll like play one frame of the sound and then it'll restart. So we don't want that. We want it to play the whole audio all the way through one time. So we have this little Boolean to kind of help us with that. Okay, let's try it out. So we get close. Poof. And when we touch it, we still have that other script that turns it blue. Okay.